Nearly 3 decades ago, Sarah Hines embarked on this pioneer study into the origins of human soul. And after hundreds of interviews and extensive investigation, the Hines compiled their research into a groundbreaking documentary, Remembering Heaven. Joining me is Laura, her daughter Laura, and Sarah Hines here with us. Good morning to you. How you doing?
Good morning. We're doing great.
I'll be honest, it's hard for me to get the speeches out because I'm really starting to get a little emotional about this because it's very interesting. This movie that you've researched is about people finding human connection and human soul in their self and what's around them. How this actually come about, this whole situation, the whole movie from you?
Well, as a child, I've always had a yearning and a hunger to understand the soul and my soul's origin. And then as a mother, I began having dreams and visions of my children before they were born and conceived. And so that really began a quest to understand, are other parents having these experiences and what does it mean?
Yeah, and the thing is, Laura, as we were saying, you were kind of like at first kind of maybe, okay, Mom, what's happening here? But then as you started to research this, it really started to connect you to a little more, right?
Yeah, I watched her as a young girl. I watched, she would keep a yellow legal tablet by the phone. And I could always tell when she was taking down one of these stories because she would pick up that tablet and start writing. So people have come to her many times if they've lost a child, or sometimes they're waiting, they know a child, they had this impression, someone needs to come to our home, I'm yearning for this child. And they've had an experience where they've seen them in a dream or some other experience, and then they need some validation, they need to understand what's happened.
Yeah, and I think in the past when people had this situations come to them, I think they pretty much have either blown it off or they talk to someone and go, oh, you're crazy, you don't know what you're doing. But as you start to go through this and when you watch this movie, you start to see people start to open up more, start to actually find their meaning in life and also their children's meaning. It's very interesting.
Absolutely. You know, we're living in a time where heaven is really speaking to us individually, and people are having these connections with heaven. And it's important to be able to share it, to talk to someone about it, and to understand, you know, what's the message that's coming through to myself personally.
Yeah, and as we call it, Remembering Heaven, because some of these experiences, people have kind of seen heaven and seen what is there or what's to come, even past stuff too. And that's what you guys want to get across to people, and also to share that, you know what, you're not alone out there. And that's why tonight's screening is so important, the Q&A, but just sitting down and watching this was good. How long did it take you to compile all this into the movie?
Well, the research has been 30 years work. The film, you know, we interviewed and chose our people to be in the film, and it went pretty fast, the interviewing and compiling it and bringing in the scholars. And then we took it to film festivals. We started winning awards, and we were approached to take it to theatrical, and that's what we've done tonight. We're having our premiere in Mesa with Remembering Heaven.
Yeah, and it's gonna be great to see. Let's talk about people connecting with their human soul and with heaven. And we know during the pandemic that a lot of people had a chance to actually stop for a moment, sit, catch their breath, and start to see things around them. And we were saying that that's pretty much what it is. It's always there. You just need to take a moment to listen. Am I right?
That's right. Sometimes it comes when you're struggling or when you're seeking an answer to something. That's kind of when we're yearning for that spiritual awareness. So it's really special when it happens because a lot of people are uplifted. They can heal from trauma. They can find hope through these experiences of seeing their unborn children or just feeling that connection to something bigger than themselves.
Yeah. And let me ask you, Sarah, you've heard a lot of stories. Is there any that stick out to you that really not only touched you, but almost said, wow, this is exactly me, and maybe I've had that answer already, and now this person is reassuring me with this. You ever have that?
Well, there was a story 20 years ago in Mesa. Little Sarah Skidmore was kidnapped, and she was only 3 years old. After 3 days, she was found and then began to slowly tell her parents what had happened. She talked about a little girl who was with her in the desert. Well, 2 years later, when her little sister was born and began to grow up, was about 2 years old, Sarah then was about 6, and she said, it was Jessica who was with me in the desert.
Wow.
My little sister. So we have these unborn children, these souls, who are also acting as guardian angels in many instances.
And ready to come to them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad we had a chance to get you in because you guys have been very busy. We know tonight's screening is getting filled,
Yeah.
but there's supposed to be a second screening, and of course you're going to be doing Q&A, and it's going to be at what theater this tonight? At
Superstition Springs Harkins in Mesa. We have 7:10 opening still. Our tickets are at rememberingheavenmovie.com, or you can just go in and get your ticket, just
Yeah.
show up and buy your ticket there. We'd love to have you.
And it
We're
will be
having a
playing
Q&A.
for about a week.
in a week there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a week
Perfect.
there.
Love it. Well, thank you two for coming in.
Thank you. Our
Thank
pleasure.
you so much.
All right. Okay, Remembering Heaven. You got to check it out. Come on back. We got more of the mix for you right after this.